everybody, Charlie Stevens here. Thank you so much for joining me again for another guitar lesson. So we had recently learned about this C major chord. And now I'd like to show you the C major scale. Okay, so the C major scale is a very important scale. The major scale in general is a very important concept to Western music. It's sort of the framework for how we discuss music, how we think about it. We'll often refer back to the major scale as a starting off point. If something is different than the major scale, we'll use the major scale as a reference of how it's different. For instance, there's a mode called the Mixolydian mode. And the way that I would describe that is I would say that mode has a flat seventh. Well, what does that mean? What is the seventh? So I'd have to know that first, and then I would have to make it flat, which means to lower it 1/2 step, right? So don't worry too much about that. We're not talking about the Mixolydian mode today. We're just talking about the major scale. But my point is, we really need to understand the major scale because that will provide us with the framework to talk about other concepts as well. So for today, we're not really going to get into the whole theory behind the major scale. We're going to do that in a separate lesson, but this will give us the concrete actual way of playing the scale first, and then when we go into the theoretical side of things, hopefully that will make it easier to follow because you'll already have at least one way to play a major scale. So the C major scale uses only natural notes. So this is actually the only major scale that doesn't have any sharps or flats in it, just all of the regular natural notes. So I love this as an exercise for finding our notes. So on this channel we've been learning how to read for the guitar. So far we've done the first 5 strings. We only have one more to go, low E, okay? This scale, we're not even going to use low E because our C note, if we remember from the notes on the 5th string video, we have the note C right here on the 3rd fret of the A string. Okay, so that's where we're going to start this scale. And now we get to go through our musical alphabet skipping all of the weird ones, all of the sharps and flats. And if we start on C and we take that approach, we'll get a C major scale. Okay, so we have C here. What comes next in the alphabet? A, B, C, D. Okay, so we need a D next. So where is that? Do we have that on an open string? We do, right? Our very next string is called D, so that means we don't even need to continue going up the 5th string. We can just play an open D. So our first 2 notes would be C here on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, and open D. Okay, now we need the 3rd note of our major scale. So remember, the key of C has all the natural notes in order, no sharps or flats. So after D, we would usually get a D sharp in our musical alphabet, but in the key of C major, we don't get a D sharp. We go right to the next letter of the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E. Okay, so we need an E. Where can we get that? Well, let's see. We played D on the open 4th string, the D string, and I mentioned that if we had gone one more note in our musical alphabet, that would be D sharp, right? So that would be on the 1st fret. So we're going to skip that one and go directly to the 2nd fret, which is the note E. And we learned about that when we learned the notes on the 4th string. So please watch that video if you'd like a little bit of extra reminder of how to find this note E here on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. So far we have C, D, and E. Okay, so in the key of C, we need the next letter in the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F. So we need an F. Okay, so we're on E. Does E have a sharp after it? It does not. E is one of the funny ones that does not have a sharp after it. It goes right to the very next letter of our alphabet, which is the one we need, F. So that means F is right here on the 3rd fret of our 4th string. And again, this is in the video on notes on the 4th string. You can review that, and that will match what I'm saying here. We have open D on the open string, E on the 2nd fret, and F on the 3rd fret. So far we have C, D, E, F. Okay, what happens now? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, we must need a G next, right? Do we have to keep going up the 4th string, or do we have an open string called G? We have an open string called G. It's right here on the 3rd string. So that's where we'll play our G. The 5th note in our scale will be open G. Okay? So we'll go C, D, E, F, G. Okay, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Wait a minute, we don't use H, so what do I do after G? Well, if you remember from our musical alphabet video, we go all the way back to the beginning of the alphabet. It starts at A. Okay, so the next note we need in the C major scale is A. Is that going to be on the very first fret of G? Let me think. Does G have a sharp after it? It does. That means I'm going to have to skip this first fret note and go right to the second one. And that must be my note A. And again, you can watch the lesson on notes on the third string to review this G and this A. Okay. Now what do? A, B. So now we need a B to complete our scale, right? It comes after A. So we have an open B string. So we can just play that right there. Okay? So far we have C, D, E, F. Changing to the third string, we have G, A. Changing to the second string, we get B. Now what do we need next? A, B, C. We need to go back to C. Does B have a sharp after it? No, so that means that the very first fret of B is the note C. So we started here, we ended here. It's called an octave away. From one note to the very next note of the same name is the interval of an octave. From Somewhere Over the Rainbow is a very famous way that you can get that in your ear. The very first two notes of that melody begin with this octave jump. So that's how we know we did it right. We started on C and we ended in C over here. And if we look at our C chord, we have those C's in there. So this scale matches the chord very nicely. And we'll talk about the theory of why that happens and how exactly they overlap at a different point in time. But for now, I just wanted you to use your C major scale. So I'm showing you how to play this. I've presented it in written music notation here. And that is helping you learn what the notes look like on the page, and that relates to this C major scale. If you look at the music for this scale, you'll notice that they're all in order. It goes from here to the very next thing, whether that's a line or a space, to the very next line or space. So this is called diatonic when they're all in order like that in a scale. Okay, so this is the diatonic C major scale. So you can use that as practice for reading, but also you can use this as practice away from the page too. A great way to do this. You know now that I've told you that C major uses all natural notes, no sharps or flats. So basically you start on C and you look for all of those natural notes just the way we did together until you find C. Okay, so it's fine to memorize this pattern, but I also wanted to show you that you're capable of doing it that way now too. That's why we've been learning how to read these notes. It's great to learn how to read music, but the real reason I was wanting to show you that is so we can build an understanding of where these notes are on our fretboard, because it takes a really long time to memorize them all, and I feel that's really important to know where they all are. So this is sort of a systematic way of learning this zone of the neck so far. So please use the music. Please also try without the music and just your knowledge that you need every natural note name, you need to start on C, and you need to end on C. You can probably come up with lots and lots of creative ways to play this differently than I just did also. All of these are using the exact same pitches. Not in different octaves, just the exact same. And we'll get into that down the road of many different ways you can play this, but for right now, just keep it simple, play a nice C major in open position, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson where we'll learn a whole lot more about how to utilize some of this new information and make some music with it. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next lesson.